Bob, you want to get us started?
Yeah, sure. Hey, Eric, how you doing?
All right, Bob. Thank you.
Hey, listening to your radio show last night, I know you mentioned that teams are really coming at you guys extra hard because of the Elite Eights the last 2 years. And how much have you talked to your team about that? And even though you guys haven't won on the road yet, do you feel like they get that aspect of it and maybe they're a little better able to deal with it on Wednesday night?
No, I think we're going through a lot of new experiences, meaning sold out buildings. And, we have obviously, 6 freshmen that have not experienced college basketball and some other guys that probably haven't played in these type of atmospheres. And then you add in the fact that, the team has had success the last 2 years, and you add in the fact that, every day that this team's been together, they've been ranked. So there is a little bit of a excitement when Arkansas plays on the road right now. And it's new for a lot of guys for sure.
And even though you guys haven't won on the road yet, what do you think you've learned from these 3 road losses that you can take into this game? What sort of things do you guys have to do Wednesday night to get a road win?
Yeah, I think that, it's a lot of things. You have to play well offensively. You've got to play well defensively. You've got to limit runs by the other team because they're playing at home. So, there's a lot of areas that we have to, continue to improve and grow in, both on the road and at home.
And, Jordan Walsh, he's obviously got a lot of upside and talent. He's had some good games, but he's struggled quite a bit here late, especially shooting the ball in conference play. What are you seeing from Jordan? What do you maybe need to do to get him going?
Yeah, he's a really talented player who, who we believe in, and he's no different than a baseball player who goes through a slump or whatever you want to call it. He's got to shoot the ball better, obviously, and but we're trying to figure out, where and who we can have step in as well. So, but certainly Jordan's a guy that, we believe in, and we need him to play better basketball.
Yeah, I'm out of a couple more. I'll turn it back to Mike. Thanks.
Christina?
Coach, it feels like a pretty quick turnaround from your first matchup with Missouri to the next. Does that help you with prep? That kind of, you faced them recently, and what did you kind of learn from that first game with them?
Yeah, I don't know. Because both teams prep. All the coaching staffs in this league are really good, so everybody's preparing. And sometimes when you play a team, I know it's happened to us before where you play it. We might play on a Wednesday and somebody else plays on a Tuesday, and then they get an extra day. I do think there's an advantage for that, and I'm sure the season will tilt in our favor at some point in that manner. But that, Vanderbilt did have an extra day prepping than we did, and again, I think everything evens out during the course of a season. So there's no excuse, I think, from a preparation. Missouri's got the same game film that we do, and they're a explosive offensive team when you look at their numbers, and they're a team that creates a lot of steals. So I think some of the same themes that we had going into last game, we need to do, but we cannot get behind by 17 like we did at Bud Walton. We need to play better basketball earlier in the game, and then certainly we've got to play better basketball finishing games than we have against Alabama at home, and then got to finish a lot better than we did at Vanderbilt as well.
And then after the last game, you talked about, being unsatisfied with the level of competitiveness. How have you talked to the team about that, and how have they responded?
Well, I think, last night on the radio show, I talked about us having a really good practice yesterday. And so it's as a player, as a competitor, you go out and you play the next game, and you try to elevate your performance. And so that's the theme and the message.
Hutch?
Yeah, Coach, y'all did a really good job against Kobe Brown the first time around, but then a couple other guys, East and Honor, seem to have better games than they usually do. what do you remember about what they did, and is there anything different y'all need to do against them to limit this time around?
Well, yeah, I think that, when we are able to do a good job on certain players, we're obviously putting our better defenders on those guys. And then the other guys, that maybe are not assigned to somebody, have got to do a good job. Honor was 3 of 7 against us. He did make 2 threes, but he's a really good player that's got experience starting at the Power 5. He's an older veteran type guy, but he played 38 minutes and had 4 fouls and 12 points, and that's a really solid game. And then there's no doubt, like, East was the guy that I felt played really, really well for them. And you look at East and Honor and Kobe, and all 3 of those guys in double digits. So all 3 of those guys played pretty good basketball, and they're all 3 really good players. And, I think somebody always steps up in a game, and has an impact. And obviously, Honor and East were 2 guys that did that.
And you mentioned Kobe Brown. I mean, y'all did a pretty good job on him. Do you feel like, in your experience, when a star player like that maybe doesn't play up to his level one time, comes out maybe a little bit more inspired, or is that something you're talking to your team about at all, that he'll be looking to make a statement this game?
Kobe Brown's an all-league player. He's trying to make a statement every game. He can make threes. He can beat people off the dribble drive. We already know he's going to be ready to play. As is their whole team. They're a competitive team, and they play hard.
Curtis.
Hey, Coach, Joseph Pinion was kind of an X factor for you in that first game against Missouri. Could you foresee him being an important piece again on Wednesday? And then, I guess, what are some adjustments that he might need to make as he plays more and there's more of a book out of him?
But he's got to defend it at a high level. We went back and watched that film, and some of the guys that we just mentioned that had good games. We've got to do a good job on them. Joseph is, still learning a lot of things from a conceptual standpoint, just as many of our guys are. But he's certainly. The thing that's most impressive about Joseph is every game he goes in with a self-belief, that he's going to impact the game, and he doesn't take a long time to come in and get a flow or a rhythm offensively. So he's, how the game unfolds, we don't know. Every game's got its own themes, and we have plan A, plan B, plan C. On how things could go, but you've got to read the game and make adjustments as they happen.
And then obviously some defensive struggles the last couple of games, but you're just over a week removed from ranking top 10 in the country in defensive efficiency, or top 25 in 3-point defense. I guess, are you confident in being able to patch those holes in short order to face a Missouri team that tends to score in bunches at home?
Well, you gain confidence by playing good for 40 minutes. You gain confidence by winning a game. And so certainly, our mindset going into the game has to be that we're going to play in front of a crowd. We're going to play against a really well-coached team. We're going to play against a team that's very confident in their own building. And so you've got to match all of those areas in order to give you a chance to win on the road.
Scotty.
Yeah, Eric, you said practice on Monday was good. What made it productive? Was it energy, attention to detail? What stood out?
Yeah, I think they practiced hard. They practiced with a focus. It was physical. We didn't do anything Sunday, so it was good for them to maybe to have a day to themselves and not be on their legs and come back fresher both mentally and physically, which I thought they did.
Is that encouraging to you? I guess, given the way that last week went, that they came in, new week, new focus.
Yeah, I like, that's why we mentioned it, last night on the radio show that there was great focus yesterday and I thought they came in trying to get better and knowing we have to get better.
Last thing, I guess, just given this is y'all's fourth game on the road in the league coming up, do you think the guys have maybe a slightly better understanding now of what's needed to have success away from home?
I mean, they're still learning. I mean, it's a roster that's still learning, still adjusting, still trying to figure out who they are, who we are. All those things are still a work in progress for us.
Bob, follow up?
Yeah, Eric, you started the Mitchell twins the last two games. I don't know, just for me, that looks like they've been a pretty nice combo for you, but obviously I'm not a coach. What have you thought?
Yeah, I mean, those two guys play really hard. They play physical. They give us a presence. So I mean, we've been happy with with how hard they practice and how hard they play.
And then obviously, a team usually takes their cue from their head coach. I know you don't like losing very much, haven't done it a whole lot. But how are you dealing with this, and kind of how do you approach it with the team as terms of trying to stay positive and upbeat and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to try to coach your team every possession in practice and every minute. And, you got to continue to tinker. I mean, you can't keep doing the same thing as a player or as a coaching staff. And I think that's been something that's been very successful in the past, is continuing to try to figure out, who we are. Again, we spent a whole summer going in one direction, and then unfortunate for everybody is the injuries. And, so we're an off season and first 8-10 games, we've lost all that for what this roster is right now. So we're still trying to figure all that out. We're a sport where we have 5 players on the floor, and not having 2 dominant players that we spend a lot of time on has affected the team. But our job as players and coaching staff is continue to try to figure out what puts us in the best position to win the game.
One more quick one. When you play a team second time in 2 weeks, do you add some new stuff, or do you just kind of go with what worked the first time, or how does that work?
No, I think both teams will make adjustments. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, you can't go in to a game with the same game plan. I mean, we were down by 17 points in that game. So the way that we went into that game cannot be the way that we start this game. So I think both teams will make adjustments. Both players on both rosters will have the film and study different things from an offensive and defensive standpoint and come away with something different.
Thanks.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Yeah.